Sweet Sophia, what has happened to you?
Welcome back, everyone. It's Charlie. This will be my full Penguin episode 4 video. There are a whole bunch of Batman Easter eggs references. We got a big flashback to explain what really happened 10 years ago, why Sophia got locked up in Arkham Asylum, and confirmed a lot of fan theories too. It's probably the best episode of the series so far. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all the episodes, and careful for spoilers if you have not seen the episode yet. We'll just start at the beginning, work our way through shot by shot, talking about Easter eggs and WTF moments. Starting with the episode title, Cent'anni, a reference to the toast that she gives during the episode, and in real life the Italian toast that's given sometimes. The types of toast you usually hear people give is salute when they clink glasses, meaning good health. Cent'anni is meant to be a real-life Italian toast that's also given, which is meant to wish all the clinkers, the people that are cheering each other, 100 years. But the ironic thing, in playing into the whole theme of the episode here, the way things go down, in real life, when you make that toast, all the people that are cheering each other don't actually expect to get those 100 years, which is also meant to be the sly reference to Sophia making the toast, then killing the entire family. Like, there's no way you're going to get 100 years, because I'm going to kill you right after this.
Cent'anni.
Call an ambulance! Call an ambulance! But not for me!
If it wasn't clear, it was Sophia that was the one to kill the entire family. Like, she didn't hire other hitmen to come in and do it for her. She did it herself, using the gas. Everybody after this episode going to make sure that your gas isn't leaking too, the silent killer. Also very efficient and very clean way for her to get rid of the entire family, making herself the new head and giving herself the fresh start that she said that she deserved. That was the whole point of her toast. I can't wait to have a fresh start, but obviously meant to be an ironic twinge as the music changes to very ominous sounding as she goes about killing everyone. So RIP to all the Falcones pretty much. Not everybody, but most of them. The episode itself was really meant to be more of a flashback like the Last of Us Long Time episode, where you see what happened to Sophia 10 years ago and how she got thrown in Arkham Asylum. Like I said, it confirmed a lot of fan theories about what really happened and why she was called Hangman. Basically, Carmine Falcone was the one that strangled all the women because during the Batman movie, they also revealed that that was his go-to move, like he loved strangling women at the 44 Below Club. All the women, with the exception of Sophia's mother that were killed, were women that worked at the 44 Below. And if it wasn't clear, Catwoman's mother would have been one of these women who he killed, like one of the 7 women. In present day, though, the reason why Catwoman learned these secrets and why she revealed the strangulation twist is because her friend had gone missing recently, and she was just like the latest person that Carmine had strangled and then killed, making it seem like she hung herself. And that's where the Hangman name came from, because all the deaths were women that looked like they hung themselves, but really it was Carmine strangling them and then making it seem like they hung themselves. Using the Gotham City police that he controlled in the court system to hide all the relevant evidence proving that they were defending themselves, like all the special wounds, the extra evidence against him. Then eventually when she put 2 and 2 together that he also killed his wife, her mother, having her thrown in Arkham, pinning all the murders on her and getting her all hawked up, hoping that she would either die inside Arkham or just go completely crazy and never escape. They also revealed how she got out of Arkham after 10 years. Like, the reason why she got out is because Alberto swore that he would find a way to get her out, and when he became head of the family after Carmine died, he gained the power to actually make that happen. That was why she had been released right before the beginning of the series, because that was when Alberto became head of the family. He also used Julian Rush, her boyfriend who used to work there, also helping treat her. What's not totally clear, though, because there are a lot of things they reveal in all these flashbacks to Arkham, is what his angle is. Is he lying to her, or is he telling her the truth when he says that he's really on her team? He's not meant to be someone from the Batman comics, though. Like, he's a totally new creation for the show. They definitely made Dr. Ventress seem like an analog for Hugo Strange. He's not meant to be Hugo Strange. There is a Ventress in the Batman comics who's a Batman villain, but his name is Floyd Ventress, and his alter ego as a villain is Mirror Man, not to be confused with Mirror Master, who's a completely separate Flash villain. He definitely seemed like he's totally evil, though, and on Carmine's payroll, and was trying to induce the craziness in her, like giving her all the shock therapy, and then putting her on the Bliss meds. The actual opening scene starts right at the end of last week's episode with the Penguin swearing he's going to show Sophia how trustworthy he is, just as he bails on her when the Maronis arrive to kill him for betraying them. It's hilarious how quickly he turns on a dime against Sophia, or making it seem like he's against Sophia. His secret power is talk no jutsu, so it'll be interesting to see the way he talks his way out of the next situation when Sophia eventually catches up with him. Because if she was just thinking about killing him before this, like she was on the fence about killing him, she definitely wants to kill him after this episode because it now seems like it's confirmed to her in her mind that he did kill Alberto. Thank you very much, Mrs. Maroni, basically telling her to her face, oh, you didn't know, he killed your brother. We basically get the rest of this scene before Victor shows up to save him from their perspective, just to show what happened with the Maronis once they did show up. She lets them know that she knew about the Bliss and that it was going to render the drops operation, which Penguin promised them, completely irrelevant in a short amount of time. The whole idea is that the Bliss was meant to be this revolutionary drug that's going to completely take over the city. Then Victor shows up crashing the car, Penguin escapes, and that's the last we see of him in this episode, basically pivoting to Sophia for the entire episode with the flashbacks and back in present day. All the flashbacks for most of the episode are meant to set up her revenge at the end of the episode. Very sweet revenge at that. Sweet, kind of like the icing on the cake for all this to her. So like metaphorically and literally, she got the icing on the cake this episode. Revenge and cake, a dish best served cold. But as she starts passing out, she calls Julian Rush, the psychiatrist boyfriend from Arkham that we also saw treating her outside with that weird red light therapy. I am sure we'll learn more about what's going on with that weird hypnotherapy. Notice there's a bunch of other numbers on her phone too. Todd Oliveri is one of the production staff on the show behind the scenes. Like a lot of time when they have lists and they need to show you with a bunch of different names, they'll put a bunch of production people on those lists just for fun. There's a 211 mystery Gotham number that she called. Joe Alfieri isn't someone we met yet. There's a Robert name obscured by her fingers, Frank, Francisco, a bunch more blurred out numbers. If you can spot some of these blurred out ones too, write them below in the comments and who you think that they are. When she passes out, notice she falls on the stack of newspapers with headlines talking about the mob rivalry going on right now with the wake of Carmine Falcone's death. Basically, all the different mobs in town, all the different crime organizations are trying to claim each other's territory. It's a bit of a free-for-all, so in addition to Sophia taking over the family in this episode, she also has to deal with that in the background too. Like there are a bunch of other mobs that are vying for the Falcone's territory that she has to deal with. But her passing out cues up the flashback to 10 years ago to explain everything that happened and confirm a lot of the fan theories. We find out she's an upstanding member of the community. She's running a charitable foundation called Lucy House named Isabella after her mother, who's dead at this point. We actually heard her voice in the tapes that they watched in other flashbacks in a party episode with her and her brother when they were still little kids. As she said in earlier episodes, Penguin during this period is her driver, and their relationship seems pretty friendly, like she makes fun of him, but in a friendly kind of way. At this point in the episode, he's still pretty low in the totem pole of the grand scheme of things. But there are a couple moments in the episode where you see people, Alberto, and then her later when she's all shaken by all the evidence that she sees about the dead women and she connects the dots, learning that her father was behind everything. When she winds up insulting Penguin, which then leads him to informing on her, sort of setting up the idea that he probably wouldn't have informed on her if she hadn't insulted him in that way. One of his great weaknesses is his incredibly short temper. But it was informing on her about talking to the reporter that got him the promotion inside Falcone's organization when he made him in charge of the 44 Below Club at the Iceberg Lounge. All because he felt like he could trust Penguin to be discreet, like he wasn't going to go around talking to reporters about all the missing women over the years that would show up at Club 44. All because you remember there were other women that got killed after this too, like the end of this episode in the flashbacks 10 years ago was not the last time that he killed a woman. Later in the timeline during the Batman movie, that was Catwoman's whole mission at the beginning of the film. She was trying to find out what happened to her missing friend and then learns that it was Carmine Falcone that strangled her like he did with her mother and a bunch of other women. So after throwing Sophia in Arkham, Carmine just went on to continue strangling women through the years. It's also kind of implied that this whole charitable organization in her mother's name, Carmine has just been using to launder money because that's also one of his go-to moves. Like he was using the Wayne Foundation, another charitable organization, to launder a bunch of money for the mob. But at least at this point in the episode, like right at the beginning of the episode, Sophia doesn't know all the shady stuff that Carmine has been doing, like the foundation. She probably thinks the foundation is just a charitable foundation and nothing else. We meet the Summer Gleason reporter, who is from Batman, the animated series. She starts Sophia on connecting the dots in her head to the similarities in all the dead women in the way that they died. She begins to get suspicious with her father, where she starts talking as they're eating, and notice his reaction when she mentions her mother. Like, I think most people who are watching the episode had figured out what was really going on before this happened, and his reaction just kind of confirmed a lot of those details. Like, oh, he definitely killed their mother. Later in the episode, they connect the dots in a more literal way, but I think they were pretty clear with the foreshadowing here and a lot of the clues. We get the first flashback to even earlier when she was younger and she found her mother's dead body. Also in the second version of this flashback where we see the rest of the scene, like what happened right after this moment, you see that Carmine was in the next room like he had just hung up her mother's body to make it seem like she killed herself and then found Sophia there like, oh, what are you doing here? I just hung a body up. Oh, this is crazy. And even though I mentioned this in an earlier video, the other obvious thing here we have to talk about, you notice the recasting. So Mark Strong, you probably recognize from a ton of stuff. He's already played 2 different live-action DC characters before this too. Dr. Sivana in the Shazam movies, and Sinestro in the Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern movie. So it's like he's collecting DC characters like Infinity Stones now. Matt Reeves said the reason why it's not John Turturro is because when they needed to actually film these scenes, he wasn't available, so they had to recast the character. Mark Strong, obviously a solid choice for that. Notice during their conversation over dinner, too, he implies that he was using Sophia to gain access to the congressman through the wife at the charity. More mob-related power plays controlling politicians, very standard business for him. Alberto at this point seems like he could care less about any of the family business though, like he gave him all these tasks and he's completely undependable, like he absolutely can't stand him, but he loves Sophia. And at least before he turns on her later in the episode, throwing her in Arkham, he wants to hand the family to her. And notice his reaction when she's like, they're never going to support me, I'm a woman, they're going to want somebody else to run the family. When he tells them the family will do what he tells them to do, I think part of the idea is that he never really intended on giving her control of the family. He just wanted her to become the public face of the family, and eventually he would retire to behind the scenes, but still rule from behind the scenes, giving the real orders. They reveal his birthday is coming up, which is why the entire family comes to show up for that party. When they drop Alberto off, notice that he calls Pengiun by the Penguin name, which is meant to be a derogatory term inside the Batman universe. He absolutely hates it when people call him Penguin. It's because of his deformities. When she asks Alberto about the woman at the 44 Below Club, he's about to tell her the truth. It sounds like he actually knows, like, yeah, Pop probably killed all those women. Notice Pengiun is also listening in on their conversation, like he almost overhears something really secretive. I think this is meant to set up his eventual betrayal of Sophia when he informs Carmine of what happened with the reporter. When she meets with the reporter again and sees the actual evidence, she connects the dots mentally to her mother's death and realizes that her father was behind all the killings. But because she's so horrified and it's so fresh in her mind, she doesn't want to think about it, which is why she snaps at Pengiun later, leading to him making a snap decision betraying her to Carmine. At the party later, she has the scene with Carla, her friend. Now remember, this is meant to pay off the scene that they had earlier when she saw her after she got out of Arkham, like, oh, I haven't seen you in 10 years. This is the girl that I had while you were busy in there. This is just meant to connect the dots across the timeline and sort of pay off the revenge she gets against Carla for also betraying her and not supporting her. They make some jokes about Luca's brand new wife, who we later find out cheated on him with Vidi for a long time. And the reason why she spots Pengiun inside the house, which he normally wouldn't do, in a brand new, shiny suit, is because he just got his promotion from Carmine, who rewarded him for informing on Sophia with the reporter. Remember, the whole idea is that what he gained out of all this is that he was put in charge of the Club 44 Below. Carmine rakes her over the coals for talking to the reporter. When he mentions Kenzie, that's actually meant to be a character from the Batman movie, one of the corrupt detectives that Carmine Falcone controlled, who was involved in covering up a lot of the dead women over the years. He's also the same police officer that arrests her later when Pengiun is driving her away from the party. Catwoman wound up trying to kill him during the events of the Batman movie after she found out that he was connected to the death of her friend at 44 Below. Batman wound up saving his life, but then he was thrown in Blackgate Prison, where he resides today. They imply that Kenzie was one of the people inside the Gotham City Police Department that would get rid of evidence surrounding a lot of the different killings. Like, oh, none of these women were definitely hung and nothing else happened to them. Also that nobody continued digging into how they died. Then after Sophia confronts him over the death of her mother, basically connecting the dots to his face, then he really turns on her. Like, he was pissed off before, but you see the look on his face turns to absolute murder. It's really when she mentions her mother that I think he comes up with the idea to pin everything on her and have her thrown in Arkham. I think before this, he was just planning on exiling her for a little while. So the idea is that when he has Pengiun drive her home, he also tips off Kenzie and has him arrest her. We also find out the reporter is dead, so it sounds like Carmine also had the reporter killed right after this. They pin everything on her, naming her Hangman in the papers because that's how all the different women seemingly died, even though that's not the case. They were all strangled. In the comics, Sophia's name was also Hangman, but in Batman Dark Victory, when the character's mostly featured, like she's featured in a couple different comics, she really did kill all those people. But they do want to show you that Penguin didn't know what was going to happen with her getting thrown in Arkham. He didn't realize it was going to take it that far. But even though they make him seem a little more sympathetic in that respect, like he didn't mean to get her thrown in Arkham, he actually doesn't really care about her that much. When it comes down to it, he really only cares about himself. Matt Reeves said this whole show is meant to be Penguin's Scarface moment in the Batman universe, and Tony Montana is not a good person, does not do good things. But this also connects with that moment where the Penguin was telling Victor not to believe everything he heard about Sophia when the news was calling her Hangman, because he knows that she didn't kill the reporter because he'd been driving her around 24/7 and was there after she was with the reporter. So at any time, Penguin could have come forward and said, no, I've been driving her around everywhere. She couldn't have killed that reporter. Just add it to the list of reasons why Sophia wants to kill Penguin. There are many reasons now. She winds up finding out the entire family has turned against her and written letters to the judge saying that she's crazy. Based on some of their reactions in present day when she confronts them with this later at the dinner, it makes it seem like what Carmine did is he just forced the different family members to sign a piece of paper without telling them what was on the paper or what they were signing. So even though they are complicit with her getting thrown in Arkham and nobody spoke up to help her, technically they probably didn't know exactly what was happening when they were signing all those papers. Her lawyer basically tells her there's nothing that she can do, she's going to have to go to Arkham immediately, and they kind of want to set up the idea that Carmine controls all the court systems, the judges, most of the police department, most of the politicians in the area, so it's pretty easy for him to do whatever he wants to do. So if he wants to get you thrown in Arkham and for them to throw away the key, it's pretty easy to do that. They show that Alberto is basically the only person who's with her at every step of the way, trying to support her and trying to help her get out, which is why she's so affected by his death later in the timeline, like why they were so close. But basically it sounds like Carmine controls at least part of Arkham and wants her to just stay there forever, either being killed by another inmate or driven to complete insanity by the doctors, setting up her whole motivation for revenge against the entire family. All the Arkham scenes in the flashbacks were great, showing how they basically manhandle her as she's admitted, treating her like an animal, essentially. It would have been the same for both Joker, Riddler, any other Batman villains that got locked up there too. Part of the idea is they want to make it seem like the doctors and the guards at Arkham are the real villains, not the actual Batman villains that are locked up there. We meet the Dr. Ventress, who is based on that Batman villain Mirror Man from the comics, giving off all kinds of Hugo Strange vibes, but the way that Sophia explains it, she had many doctors that came and went while she was there, so like Dr. Ventress didn't last for a long time. I think the way they played the episode and all of Ventress's scenes implied that he was on Carmine's payroll, but not her boyfriend, Julian Rush, or at least it seems like he wasn't on Carmine's payroll. She starts seeing some of the other inmates in the women's wing here where she's staying. This one isn't from the comics, it's just a random one that she has the confrontation with later. The first one she actually speaks with, though, is Magpie and is from the Batman comics. She started out working in a museum, then went crazy, and her whole go-to move once she took the name Magpie was making booby-trapped copies of museum pieces. They basically want to show you how badly everyone is treated there at Arkham, like the food is terrible, the way the guards treat them is terrible, all the doctors basically abuse them in every way possible. And a lot of it seems like it's in pursuit of the development of this Bliss drug that they're passing around. If you were confused about the whole conspiracy to try and drive her crazy, I think the idea is that Ventress wanted to mess with her head, maybe on Carmine's orders, to drive her into insanity with a combination of the shock therapy as well as making the other inmates attack her on whim. It's also possible that Dr. Ventress was just doing that, messing with the patients to study them like rats inside a maze just for his own research or his own enjoyment. So it's possible that he had no connection with Carmine and he just did this to all the inmates on the regular just because he wanted to. They really wanted to make him seem evil. That's why I made all the Hugo Strange comps, because that's kind of his go-to move in the Batman comics, is basically experimenting on all the inmates. We also find out the Magpie character has been working for the Doctor in exchange for the Bliss drug to help drive Sophia more insane even faster. The point where it actually seemed like Ventress really was working with Carmine was when he wrote the report saying that she was unfit to stand trial, because why would he do that unless he wanted to keep her in Arkham? And why would he want to keep her in Arkham? Why would he care about that if it wasn't because of what Carmine told him to do? There are a couple moments during her flashbacks to Arkham where Julian Rush tries to advocate for her, like, oh, I didn't want this to happen. I didn't know that the doctor was going to write this report about you, keeping you in here. For those of you that think that he is trying to help her, like he's ultimately on her side, there was a moment in the flashbacks where he did turn to Ventress and say, what if she's telling the truth about all these deaths, that she didn't actually kill all these women? And Ventress tells him, be careful, like, don't speak up about this. So even though I do think that Julian Rush had something to do with what's going on with the Bliss at Arkham, like somebody had to be behind developing this and creating it, it is possible that he's just trying to be nice to Sophia. Alberto comes to visit her. The scene plays out like her vision from earlier in the series when she had the previous flashback. When he says he's going to make it his mission to get her out of here, like I said, they pay that off when he became the head of the family and gained the power to do that with the help of Julian Rush, who claims that he quit his job at Arkham because he was so remorseful over what was happening with her. When she wakes up in present day inside his apartment in his office there that we saw earlier, I was expecting her to find something a little more sus around the place, but she really only finds the medication that he's been giving himself. She implies that because of his remorse, like it's caused him to have his own mental problems. All the crazy stuff that they did to the inmates that he was also complicit with in the past. But the idea here when she confronts him is that the tables have turned, like she is now the person in control pushing him around, as she eventually pushes the family around at the dinner later. When she says it's the world that's broken and she does deserve a fresh start, that's her giving herself a little pep talk, the call to action, setting up her killing the family, taking over the family, and what she's doing with the Bliss, her whole long-term goal to distribute it all over the world. Then we have that amazing dinner scene at the end where she basically confronts the entire family, calling them all out. I was kind of expecting this to go full Red Wedding from the Game of Thrones with like all of them dying at the dinner table here. You can let me know if you like the way they did in the episode or if you were hoping for like a bloodier, more graphic death. You notice when she does walk in though, she sits at the opposite head of the table because she is taking over the family. Like she's going to sit at the head of the table metaphorically and literally now. The reason why the family is mad to see her is because they're mourning Alberto's death and they were expecting her to leave to go to Sicily. Like, oh, you're still here. When she interrupts Luca's toast, her line of dialogue that she starts with is the same as her speech at the beginning of the episode in the flashbacks. Forgive me, I've never been one for speeches. She points out that the last time they were all together like this was that flashback to 10 years ago, right before she got thrown in Arkham. And when she says she doesn't fit into the family anymore, it's meant to be an ironic statement because instead of leaving the family, like you would normally expect, she kills the family and is basically the start of a new Falcone dynasty under her, as she makes the ironic Cent'anni toast, giving the episode its name. She stares at a picture here. This is her and her brother when they were children. The reason why she leaves the window half open is so that she can save Vidi from the gas because she needs him for later. We'll explain that in a second. Then she takes Carla's daughter to the greenhouse, promising her the cake that she wanted, sparing her from the gas, also not wanting her to see all the dead bodies like she saw her mother's dead body at that same age. True to her word, she does give her the cake. You also get a couple more close-up scenes of her bare skin. You notice the scars all over her upper body. Those are from her time at Arkham, all the fights that she got into, which she admits to the little girl about having done terrible things like, I got locked up in Arkham, I had to do terrible things to survive. She then promises to always protect her. Nothing bad is ever going to happen to you, sweetie. Then wakes to find the bodies of all the dead family members, R.I.P. Falcones, as they play the Sarah Vaughan version of So Long, My Love. They confirm the way she killed everyone when she puts the gas mask on and puts the valve back on down in the basement, that same basement where Pengiun killed the Maroni captain. And the reason why she spared Vidi, says we need to talk, is because she needs help running the family. Like there's actually a lot of groundwork that she needs people for, and Vidi is just connected in the way that she needs. They already showed how they used him to get their whole Bliss operation started. She needs him for that. She also needs his help with killing the Pengiun and basically just dealing with all the other mob factions in town that are coming for the Falcone's territory right now, which is still an ongoing thing, especially the Maronis. So part of the idea is that Sophia's like, you know what, I don't need most of you, but I need like a couple of you. So a couple of you get to live. Overall, it was a fantastic episode. Like I said, best one so far. Kristen Milioti probably going to get some nominations for awards after this season. If there's any other Easter eggs or references that you spotted during the episode that I didn't talk about during the video, just write them below in the comments and let me know what your favorite moment from the episode was. Really cool to see her get her revenge against the family. Now we get to see how Penguin is going to talk his way out of this situation. Talk no jutsu. My full episode 5 video will post next week after they release it. There's a bunch of big stuff coming up this week too, so be sure to enable alerts for my channel so you don't miss any of that. Everybody click here to learn about Henry Cavill coming back to the Marvel Universe after Deadpool and Wolverine, and click here for all my Penguin Batman episodes. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.